My name is Chelsea Alterman. I am a senior customer success manager at Posh. So when you had posted about a masterclass on how to have more revenue generating conversations with your stakeholders, that seemed like a great opportunity for me to brush up on those skills. And in my own personal and professional journey, I'm hoping to level up in my own career and pursue a manager or director position eventually in customer success. Just for on that perspective, I wanted to strengthen my own understanding and language of how to have that kind of conversation with leadership and future teams of leadership that I work with. Every team recognizes that we're a revenue driving team, but I don't think we do a good job of telling that story in the language that leadership respects and honors. So that's another piece to it. It's not just how can I level up in my personal career, but it's also how can we level up the team to a standard where we're getting that respect for all the work that we do. The past 6 weeks has been extremely helpful for my own understanding of how to have those conversations with our stakeholders that focus directly on revenue outcomes, how to modify the language that I use in describing the experiences we're having with our stakeholders to leadership in the organization. And I feel more competent as a CS leader because of all of the modules that we've covered. And I would say as a direct example of the outcomes that came from being a participant, an active participant in RevUP, I presented at our company all hands meeting, and I used the How I ROI framework to put together my slide and talk more about the organizer. And I also use the language of, instead of leading with the name of the organizer to describe and tell that story, leading with the revenue outcome. And so I adjusted the slide to say something along the lines of, helped an organizer grow from $70K in revenue to $350K in just 5 months with these value adds and these types of interventions. And those interventions brought X amount in additional revenue, that sort of language framing that I always kind of knew in my inner parts of my brain to use, but having it being reiterated during the course of this is what you need to do when you're communicating your value to the organization, and how to put that in the revenue minded framework. I was able to present on this organizer and articulate all of the revenue driving activities that we've been able to accomplish in just 5 months to help them achieve that business growth. And I had 5 people come up to me afterwards and be, wow, that is so amazing. I can't believe you were able to achieve that. And great job presenting. So that felt really good. I mean, all of them, but if I had to pick one, I definitely think the last module, when we dive into the metrics we can use to validate the impact that customer success managers are, extremely helpful, because I've never served in a CS leadership capacity, and being in a consumer marketplace, we're in a unique position where we're not traditional B2B SaaS, but the framework of those metrics and how to apply them to our particular context through watching the module pre-recorded and then also having the conversation in our small group was extremely helpful. And already my interim director of success is mapping out our team KPIs, and just had a meeting yesterday where we were talking about renewal rate as a good metric to put in place for our team. And I'm going to continue to kind of fuse in some of the additional metrics like NRR and potentially even GRR to tell a better story of all the impact that we're making on the CS team. I love cohort-based models. I always thought that was the most effective learning style, because you have the self-paced where you can really take your time and dive into the materials on your own. And the way I do it is I'll put up the pre-recorded content, I'll take notes, I'll take screenshots. And what's great is that we can have that content after watching that course. So I can download the deck. There are resources that you attach for each course. So I can further dive into that once I've watched the pre-recorded module. And then with all the insights that I've learned from the pre-recorded session, I can bring that into the live session with like a supportive group of other customer success managers. And we can have just like an open dialogue around the things that we've picked up and learned, and then ask questions that came from like reviewing that pre-recorded content. So that was one of my favorite pieces too. It was just like having that open dialogue and being able to connect with other CSMs that are in a similar spot to me. I think in your own company silo, it can feel overwhelming to like parse through this type of big learning. And so if it was just like pre-recorded content, I think it would be hard to like validate all of the learnings that we were picking up. But in a group context with like an open dialogue with you guiding how we're parsing through that information, I think it's extremely helpful. I would say your coaching style is very much like straightforward, and I wouldn't even say like tough love. I think it's just leading with authority, but also compassion. So I think there's like a good mix there and a good balance of no excuses. Like let's focus on what actually matters here, but like let's talk through the challenges that you're experiencing with like putting that into practice. So striking that balance was really nice, especially in like the group context. Probably like halfway into the RevUP Academy, I picked up an initiative to standardize the customer meeting templates that we used when we're having conversations with our stakeholders. And we didn't have templates in the past, but also in having the conversations through RevUp Academy and thinking through like, how can we understand exactly where the customer wants to go? How are we asking the right discovery questions to nail down their desired outcomes, what goals they have, so that we can create success plans on what we can plug in place to help them get there. We didn't have any of that. And so through having those conversations in RevUp Academy, I put together these meeting templates that are full of the right discovery questions that align to the context of like why we're meeting with that stakeholder. And the goal is for these to be like living, breathing documents that we refer back to when we meet with the stakeholder like later on down the road in their customer journey. And that was like a big learning from having the conversations around like the right discovery questions in Rev Academy and revenue success plans. I think I was always a little bit nervous to have more revenue focused conversations with stakeholders in my time as a customer success manager. And I've been as a CSM for almost 5 years at this point. And I think the hesitation was that I wanted to make sure the stakeholder always knew that I like cared about the relationship, but that wasn't trying to like sell them something. And that was like one of the first things that we covered in RevUp Academy of just adjusting that mindset. And instead of thinking in that way, transitioning it over into your job is to help the customer make more revenue or save time or improve efficiency, like putting it into that bucket. And you're respecting the customer's business and you're respecting their bottom line by recommending things to enhance their experience. And so you're still coming at it from that like relationship focused mindset, but it doesn't come off like quote unquote like salesy. And now I just feel like more bold in my customer meetings of just asking more direct questions, getting the outcomes on paper, because ultimately that's like how I'm going to prove out value for them and help their business grow. I guess like non-apologetic about being more bold and asking the right questions to understand the outcomes. And I think, I've been adjusting my approach since starting RevUp Academy. So like over these past like 5 or 6 weeks. And I'm definitely having like more value-driven conversations with my stakeholders. I feel like continuing that journey for me in my career is going to be extremely helpful. And then it's also, as a last point, helped me like protect my time a little bit more. Because being in a small startup, you wear a lot of hats and a lot of people are like ready to like ask you participate in their project or help them with like a task. But now I'm putting it into the context of like, is this helping drive revenue for the company or my stakeholders? And if the answer is no, then I'm feeling more comfortable saying no to those types of things. So yeah, all good things. I would definitely encourage them to hop over that fence and take the not even the risk, but just like invest in yourself, because I've gotten so much out of just 6 weeks of participating in RevUp Academy. What I've learned is going to continue with me for like the rest of my professional career. And I'm going to like reflect back on all of like the notes and materials that we have for like the rest of my career. And we have those pre-recorded sessions for like an indefinite amount of time. So I know that I'm going to continue to like reflect back on those courses and my notes there. And I'm just seeing so much positivity and good outcomes coming from me participating in RevUp Academy that to me, it's like on the opposite side of the fence, a no-brainer. And I'm over here on the opposite side of the fence, like encouraging everyone to join me because I think it's just the amount of professional development you get in such a short amount of time is really helpful. So definitely encourage anybody to sign up. I would definitely recommend RevUp Academy for any CSM who is either looking to get to that next level in their career and become more of a leader in their space, to understand how to drive more revenue conversations in their organization and have better business outcomes for their stakeholders. So I think that's one bucket. And then the other bucket is for any CSM who is nervous or unclear on how to have those like revenue driving conversations and how to push forward those outcomes. If you've said to yourself, like I did, like I just care about the relationship and you haven't really approached having those touch points of, hey, I want to create more upsell opportunities. I want to help a customer like drive better outcomes, but I'm afraid to do so. If that fear is like what's holding you back, I think that RevUp Academy is a great place to like get over that fear, get over that fence, and, be just a more effective, like, individual contributor. I think it would be impactful because the learnings that I've picked up from the past 6 weeks and the way that already that's showing up in, like, my professional career and, like, readjusting our team infrastructure in such a short amount of time, like 6 weeks is really not that long. So the one word I would use is impact because of the level of influence it's already had in those two areas is something that I am really delighted by, that it's such a short amount of time, but already there's like so much impact happening. I hope to see everyone in the alumni circle.